It's sort of the Wild West. We've seen a retinal detachment before. I don't think we've ever found the whole. Well, they get very excited. James C. Major Jr., retina surgeon at Retina Consultants of Houston. If you've been working in a field for 10 years and all of a sudden these really cool raptors come in, you're like, whoa, that's great. We brought birds of prey in to the office and this new OCT, optical coherence tomography machine. It's the first time in vivo in a live bird that pathology, something wrong with the eye, you can actually see in a non-invasive manner. It's sort of the Wild West in terms of what's in the back of a bird's retina and looking at it. The people in the clinic, the technicians, love it as well. They get very excited. The photographers that actually take the shots of the birds love to do it because number one, it's challenging, and number two, they get to see things. It's like traveling in space. They get to see things that have never been seen before. The eye of a bird is much superior to ours in terms of what they see and how they see it. It looks like he's learning. It's never been done before. We know what we think we're going to find, but when we get these images, we're like, hey, this is the first photograph of the two fovea of a bird in a live bird ever been done. You can really see the back of these amazing bird retinas. Yeah, see how this retina is sort of up in the breeze? That is a detached retina. There's probably some blood back in there too, it's hard to tell. The love of birds stemmed from the time with my father as a child going out and bird watching and identifying words. And what bird watching really is you picture these nerdy people with glasses with binoculars looking around the woods, and yes, it's that, but it's also what you're really doing is identifying species, so you're trying to find new species. As you can probably tell, my father had a huge influence on me, and my father, who was an ophthalmologist, was also a bird watcher. Every morning on weekends or when he could, we would go out and go bird watching. So my worlds collided when I was a resident. We have a residence day project, and they said, you have to do a research project. And I said, well, I love birds, and we have this new machine that takes a scan of the back of the eye, and obviously I love retina, let me put them together. So we said, well, how are we going to dilate their eye, and how are we going to get an image? Well, it turns out the birds, many of them were tame because they were in a rehab center, and if you turn off the light, their eye would dilate. So it's totally non-invasive. So the birds just, put their bill basically up near the front of a machine that's just light that goes in, and you can do it in dark situations. So it's really neat. We got these beautiful images of both normal looking raptor retina, which had never been done before. These are live birds. Before it was just histology, looking at cut slices of dead birds. But it's the first time in vivo in a live bird that pathology, something wrong with the eye, you can actually see in a non-invasive manner. You can really see the back of these amazing bird retinas. Obviously, you have to get the right permits and be careful. We had a great horned owl that had come in and was blind in one eye. We think they were hit by a car. So that bird had been in captivity, and the rehabbers noticed that it would fly longer and longer distances and seemed to be improving. And so when we first brought it in, we got these wonderful wide field imaging pictures, photographs of the bird's eye. Well, we brought that bird back a year later after they said he improved, and lo and behold, there was much less blood. The fovea, the center part of the vision, looked really good. So upon that decision, they turned the owl loose and let it hunt on its own. It's the first time you could basically see what you thought is wrong or find out what you thought is wrong by looking inside the eye, which we were unable to do in the past, or not without putting the animal out. Right, this structure here, and there's also some scarring here, and then if you look at, there's a white line that cuts across this retina. This left eye is perfect, so I don't know if they got hit on that side or how exactly that happened. The bird didn't seem to react to the light at all. That we figured something was wrong. All of this left eye looks perfect, so probably perfect owl vision. The bird can lead a good, nice, healthy life, in captivity, but can do a lot of good in terms of being an educational owl. And we took the scan of it. This retina is flat. There's a big gap space between the retina and the back of the retinal wall, so this is a retinal attachment. And possibly, we've never really seen one before, but it looks like there might be a hole in the retina. So this owl got hit by a car hard enough for there to be a hole in the retina. We've seen a retinal attachment before. I don't think we've ever found the hole. This owl can't be released back into the wild because there's a lack of depth perception. Again, what's nice is the OCT scan is so non-invasive. we could image the bird better, and the bird was calmer. It's completely non-invasive. It's just a light scan. And now they've used that technology in other small animals, both for diagnostic purposes and for treatment purposes in the veterinary world. It's amazing, you know, when we first looked at the retina, you can compare it to a human retina. And birds actually have a fovea like ours, which is the very, very center part, like the bullseye part of their vision. And theirs looks a little bit different, but the layers are ultimately the same. And you can compare the anatomy of the two, which had not been done before. And then the vitreous of the bird, which is the jelly inside the eye that a human has also, the way it interacted with the back of the retina was a little bit different, and different than what we thought it would look like compared to the human eye. This is a model for looking at pathology or things that are wrong or right, frankly, anatomy of the back of these birds' eyes. But ultimately, it's not just about birds. It actually spilled over into mice, other animals, which then has implications for research across the board, not just for eye, but for whatever you're dealing with. You can imagine birds have a certain disease. Well, if you can detect that disease at an earlier period and give them antibiotics or an injection or something that we can do now, you can then, you know, improve that disease. It can be a diagnostic test for looking at pathology that before we hypothesized was there, but now we know, and we know what it looks like. And then you put several together and you say, aha, this is what it looks like. I know what it is now, and I can actually now treat it. So it's pretty neat, letting your worlds collide, and really, really fun.